Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Clements. I formerly worked for Friends of the Earth United States when we entered into a legal intervention against the AP1000, the Westinghouse AP1000 project in the state of South Carolina, which I will talk about. But just so it's clear, I currently work on nuclear weapons issues. Because the project failed in South Carolina, I am following what's going on with the cost of it because we continue to pay. But I am working on nuclear weapons, and I would point out that Plant Vogtle in Georgia is right across from Savannah River site, which is the big 1,000-square-kilometer nuclear weapons facility where they made plutonium. And I will have another map, but I live in Columbia, South Carolina. The one project, Summer, was right there, north, and Vogtle in Georgia was right there across from the nuclear bomb plant. Not by mistake. It was because there's nobody on the other side to protest the nuclear reactors. Okay, here's really all you need to know. The VC Summer project in the state of South Carolina, 2 units of the Westinghouse AP1000 reactor was a total failure. The project was licensed by the state government, the regulator, in 2009. It got a license from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission in 2012. After many cost increases, endless schedule delays, the project was terminated in 2017 after $9 billion was wasted on construction. And you must add on to that about $2 billion on interest cost. So it was really $9 billion was wasted. Now, the Vogtle project across the river, it also was licensed by the state regulator in 2009, also by the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, in 2012. It was supposed to start operation in 2016 for the first Unit 3, Unit 4, 2017. $14.5 billion was an early cost estimate. It has ended up now, as of a month ago, over $36 billion. For the 2 reactors. It's one of the world's most expensive nuclear power facilities, now with 4 reactors. So there's Unit 4, Unit 3, it was operating. And this date, February, Unit 4 had not started. It started a little over a month ago. So they did start the reactors. Here, there's Unit 1. From the 1980s. All the spent fuel is still there. Unit 3 and Unit 4. The mechanical cooling towers. I have a pilot that we would fly over the project about once every month. So these are they've been sitting in the weather for 7 years now. The project is totally abandoned, totally abandoned. Tim Judson mentioned components being shipped to Ukraine, and I think it's stuff out of these storage buildings. It's really unclear what and how are they going to transport it. I have no idea. So it took the U.S. Department of Energy until 2023 to admit what happened. And we knew the problems from the beginning, from 2009. So I'll just point out, they didn't have a proper project schedule. There was an extreme shortage of experienced labor, and there may have been up to 5,000 or more people working on the Vogtle site. So when I look at a country the size of Czech Republic or Bulgaria, the United States could not provide enough experienced labor. Where will the experienced labor come from if Westinghouse AP1000 is being built in 3, 4, 5 countries? I don't understand that. And it was only 2 projects in the U.S. I'll talk more about the failure of supply chains, which relates, the companies were not nuclear certified. I'll talk more about it. One thing to the Westinghouse advantage, or U.S. Department of Energy, they started in the U.S. when the design was incomplete, major mistake. But now the design is probably mostly finished. I still see design changes in the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission website, but they went through 19 design changes. There was a lack of coordination between the construction consortium, which was Westinghouse, and the construction companies, and in this case, the owners were private electric companies. It wasn't some other part of the government. And there were construction problems all along the way. And I'll talk about this also. Endless deceptions and lies to the regulators, the public, about schedule delays, cost overruns, and rate impacts. From day one, the companies lied to the regulators in the state of Georgia, in the state of South Carolina. And one of my last slides, people went to prison because of this. And I see the same thing being replayed here. They're not telling the truth. There's no solution to radioactive waste disposal. All the spent fuel would still say at the site. The United States has no spent fuel disposal facility. And there was an inadequate review of energy alternatives. In the initial license to the state government, review of alternatives was about 3 pages out of a 1,000-page document. They discarded it because the decision had been made to build the reactors, and that's what they were going to do no matter what happened. Major mistake. Okay, so to emphasize this again, when I got invited here, I started saving all the AP1000 articles I could see about what's happening in Central and Eastern Europe. It's very clear that the bad news is being covered up. I have maybe seen the name V.C. Summer once in an article. The failure of V.C. Summer is being swept under the rug by Westinghouse, the state regulators, and the U.S. Department of Energy, and the State Department. Why is this? The people here are being lied to. And people went to prison because they lied, and it's being repeated. So my position is the truth's got to be told about what happened with this project before they're allowed to proceed at all. And people need to ask them, the main question to ask, what happened at V.C. Summer? They will go blank because it's not in the narrative to talk about V.C. Summer. And if they want to talk about Vogtle, it's only, the reactor started. What about the delays? What about the cost overruns? Nothing. So here's Westinghouse. 2023 sustainability report just came out. We are proud to deliver clean, affordable, and secure nuclear energy. So I'll point out affordable. So when I see that, and I know that $11 billion went down the drain in South Carolina, that's affordable? We get nothing for that money, and I'm paying for it right now for 15 more years. That's not affordable. Vogtle power plants, $18 billion, and the cost is going to go up. $18 billion each, is that affordable? If you're working on this, ask them if that's affordable. So what we're looking at here, they finished 2 reactors and have spent close to $50 billion. So you get 2 reactors for $24 billion each. Is that affordable? So as Tim talked about, and I'll only mention a little bit here, Canadian companies own Westinghouse after it went bankrupt in 2017. And when it went bankrupt, the nuclear electricity utility in my state went bankrupt and got taken over. So as Tim said, Brookfield Renewable Partners is owned by Brookfield Business Partners. an equity firm. Their business is managing their assets to maximize their profit. If they think the nuclear projects are going down here and they're involved, I can guarantee you they will have the contract written so that they can get out of it and make money. That's what's going to happen. And I think that's why they have projects in various countries. If a couple of them go forward, they can get out of the rest of them and still make money. And it is Canadian, so it really raises questions about U.S. regulation of them because it's not a U.S. company anymore. Okay, so a little bit more. I live in the state of South Carolina, here in the southeast, state of Georgia. Summer Unit 1 exists. Vogtle 3 and 4 just got completed. And there were other partners, municipal and public utilities, but they were the minor partners. So I'm talking about Georgia Power Company, South Carolina Electric and Gas, which was my utility company. So to compare the size of these states to countries here, Georgia, 154,000 square kilometers, 11 million people. South Carolina, 5.5 million, 83,000. They didn't have enough customers in South Carolina to pay for this. Georgia had enough customers where they could continue going to them with rate increases. Actually, I was born here in Savannah, mostly live in Atlanta, so I know both states very well. And we monitored the Vogtle project as well. There's the nuclear bomb plant right there by Vogtle. VC Summer, 40 miles north. I live in Columbia. So they did go into commercial, Vogtle units 3 and 4 did go into commercial operation. I took this photograph. That's how close you can get to the reactors. And I want to invite you to come. I invite you, I invite any government official. I will give you tours of Vogtle and VC Summer. Be glad to show you and, of course, tell you what I think happened. Vogtle got a $12 billion loan guarantee from the U.S. Department of Energy. And what that meant was they could borrow money at, 3.5%, 4%. And it appears they're not going to pay it back because they can pay the interest every year and take it off their taxes. So I took another risk here because this is federal money. So I got hit twice. Once by Vogtle, once by VC Summer. So for now, these are the last large reactors in the United States. The game is over. So why are they pushing these reactors here? They're gone in the U.S. And what they are, they're pushing small modular reactors. As Tim said, they're not licensed. And the first project has already failed. Okay, so here's the picture, expanding what Tim said. In the nuclear build back in the 70s to 90s, there's been basically one reactor since then. Now units 2 and 3 are online. This is the Energy Information Administration, a U.S. government agency. This 94 reactors, maybe it was up to 106 or something around that, 110. So you can see nuclear power is on the decline, and they think, they thought the AP1000 would save this. Total failure. And they're not pursuing them anymore. Now, small modular reactors, advanced reactors, and the U.S. Department of Energy is frantic to get some reactor built. And it's all imaginary right now. I mean, it might happen, but it's mostly speculative and imaginary. So I saw this about a month ago. Unit 4 started in 2024, and I didn't really know. This is also from the Energy Information Administration. Now, this may be a unique time period, but this is predicted for 2024. There you go, 2%, Plant Vogtle, of electricity generation in the United States for 2024. This is astounding because this is solar, battery storage, wind, and then some natural gas and nuclear. This is the Department basically the real Department of Energy, not the Department of Energy of Nuclear Promotion, that put this out. And you can see that these facilities are all over the United States, so of course the concentration is in Texas and California. Your situation is quite different because we have a lot more solar in the United States. You should ask about this when Westinghouse and your regulators start pushing the reactors. So, just to underscore and to be very blunt, these projects, because they failed so badly, have killed the nuclear industry in the United States, at least for now. And they killed large reactors in the United States. So why are they coming here, and the U.S. Department of Energy will not even promote this design in my own country? I really don't understand what they're doing, but I think it could be nefarious. Okay, so here's the application to our regulatory agency. Every state has a regulatory agency. It's called the Public Service Commission. And it's what we call, and you probably have the same expression, it's a captured agency. They do what the utility wants. They did what the utility wanted from 2009 to 2017, and it all exploded right in their face. And we said it, Friends of the Earth said it in the application, or to responding to the application when we joined basically a lawsuit. The chosen reactor type, AP1000, has never been built before. Continual design changes, which threaten the company and its ratepayers with spiraling increases in construction and delays in the construction schedule. Oh my gosh, the environmental people were right. They lied about that from day one. Why is it that we were right and they had to lie and their strategy did not succeed? I'm afraid I see it again here. Okay. So there is a design problem. The shield building is not containment. It's open to the air. This water tank, in my opinion, and others, it's highly vulnerable. The passive water would drip on this steel shell, but if the shell is breached, there could be release of radiation. I'll take just a few more minutes. Is that okay?
Please,
okay.
short.
So this is not construction. We talked about construction earlier. Nuclear concrete is construction. So for 3 years, they were constructing, but officially it wasn't construction. But you have to count that as construction. So they had a modular approach, and it failed. They had to shift all the modules to other places. That caused great delays in the projects and cost increases. They have to have nuclear quality certification. They didn't have that. They had to bring all that construction, the modular construction, back to the reactor sites, both at Vogtle and VC Summer. It caused huge delays. Here are the modules for the shield building. Here's just a couple more. So Bechtel did a report for the companies reporting why the project was failing. So there's an advantage to Bechtel being involved because they do know the problems, but they could not rescue the project. This was kept secret and covered up until the whole thing fell apart and the governor released it. The governor of my state released it. So the cost of interest was being paid, and you could see it on the bill. But now that they're in Georgia, that's Georgia, now that they're paying the construction cost, it's been removed from the bill, a monthly electric bill. They have no idea how much they're paying. The costs have gone up 24%. In South Carolina, these were the interest rate increases, and we had them on our electric bill. These never happened because the project failed in 2017. If the construction cost had been in there, it would have gone up like this. Half of our bill right now would be for the nuclear project. We avoided that. Right now, we're paying 5.6%, and we'll pay this for another 15 years. I get nothing for this. So they are making the ratepayer absorb the risk and the cost. Westinghouse went bankrupt, and they did pay $2 billion. So to close, two top South Carolina electric and gas officials, the CEO, he went to prison for 2 years after the federal and state governments investigated. This is a term, criminal conspiracy. That's a federal government, Department of Justice term. Two Westinghouse officials also pleaded guilty to felony fraud. One of them got 6 months home detention, and the other is yet to be sentenced. And I don't need to say any more about the, and I'll close here, about the Exim Bank, except I see the name frequently, Assistant Secretary for International Affairs, Andrew Light, from the Department of Energy. He's coming here, no mention of VC Summer. Vogel started, no mention of the cost. So somebody really needs to ask him about that, and I'll conclude there. But you need to be quite cautious as what you're being sold here with this AP1000 project, which failed so dramatically in the United States. Thank you. Sorry for going over.